which is in service of either killing the enemy or protecting the lives of our own soldiers here in the U.S. or our allied partners. So what makes a good battlefield technology? It's something that troops can't get enough of, since it solves a specific need that they have to save their lives. Which, if you think about it, is a lot like a concept in Startland called product market fit. Well, I think that weapon warfare fit is an equivalent framework that defense tech builders should strive to achieve. It's good to bring this to life with a couple examples. So here's some technologies that have had strong weapon warfare fit and the capabilities they bring to the table to save lives in the battlefield. The first is the venerable 155 millimeter munition. This is something that's been around since the 1910s in World War I, but has continued to be important to battlefield Ukraine, in Gaza and elsewhere. The reason it's effective is because it allows forward lines of troops to have munitions lobbed over their heads and attack enemy positions. It has become a really important part of our defense infrastructure. A second is the F-16. You have the F-100 series of fighters in the 50s and 60s that had 1 or 2 year lifespans. You had the F-4, which lasted about 10 years, but it was too big a function. This same John Boyd created the F-16 from first principles in the 1970s, knowing what a fighter pilot needed. A quick, light, efficient fighter that had a 360-degree views that could then be exported to our adversaries, to our allies across the world. The F-16 is the most widely produced aircraft in world inventory history because it meets weapon warfare fit for many of our allied and U.S. needs. Another example is the MRAP from Afghanistan. So those of you who served may be familiar with the MRAP. This is mine-resistant anti-personnel protective vehicle. What happened in Iraq and Afghanistan was as our troops were going into these villages and around the supply routes, they were being blown up by improvised explosive devices. So what they did is they started bolting on iron sheets to their Humvees. And it was a good enough solution, but wasn't perfect. So the defense industry created the MRAP to solve this problem. Now think about the MRAP, it was only good for about 2 or 3 years, but it solved very unique needs in that time frame. And finally, the most tangible one we've seen in the past couple of years are drones on the battlefield. And what's interesting about drones on the battlefield is they basically replicated the history of manned fighter aviation in World War I. World War I fighters served as ISR platforms for the forward line of troops. You send a biplane up to see what the enemies were doing. Very soon how drone warfare started in the US and Ukraine. But very quickly, folks realized that aerial assets could be used to deliver munitions against fighters and troops in the front lines. And we've seen that develop very rapidly, and we'll hear about some of those problems later on. But drones have found weapon warfare fit in a way that many defense technologies hadn't in the past decade. All right, and in closing, there's one last point. The best solutions that find weapon warfare fit are adjacent to existing approaches. The aircraft carrier we're on today was initially relevant because the capability it provided was over-the-horizon visuals for the traditional main battlefield. It turned out to transform more, however, with the advent of carrier-based attacks and fleet action, but only won the right to find that market opportunity because it was used for the traditionalists and the disruptors were able to leverage it to use new capabilities. So similar to drones in Ukraine, they provided ISR capabilities that existing infantry tactics could easily carry. Neither of these capabilities emerge in a vacuum. Finally, to reiterate, warfare is a human thing. Aircraft carriers carry airplanes with bombs and sink ships operated by thinking humans. Drones attack people in tents, holding humans to prevent those humans from occupying more land. F-16s carry munitions to attack fixed targets occupied by humans or containing material critical for humans to conduct war or run and operate society. So as you build for America today, from the tools you're building for, save real lives for families that love them at home. Thank you for being here. Godspeed for the next 24 hours.
Let's give it up again for Ben Coleman, F-A-18 pilot, investor in Frontier Tech at Cubic Capital. Now next we're going to welcome to the stage Neil Conlon, who is a United States Marine Corps veteran as well as cybersecurity expert. He's going to say a couple words about the challenges of selling his defense as a founder. Neil?
All right, speaking with these microphones is always hard for the guy with the beard, so bear with me for a second here. So for anybody who's sitting there in front of the keyboard right now typing something, take your heads up for a second because I catered this conversation specifically for you guys, because I've been that guy. To give you a little bit of background on myself, I'm a Marine Corps veteran. At the peak of my Marine Corps service, I was one of the very first units that ever got to use drones actively in the field. And over a course of the past 20 years, I've gone through the evolution of working in corporate space with Guggenheim Partners, to Morgan Stanley, to Fortress Capital, and eventually leaving that space and jumping into the startup world. Now, I've been the person on the keyboard, I've been the person launching the product, I've been the founder, I've been the person who exited the business, and now I'm the person who's investing and advising in those businesses. It's a very special superpower that you build over time, and I sold into CIA, FBI, national security defenses, Department of Homeland Security. And I understand how challenging it is to be somebody who sits at the hackathon, building this cool thing, and then not being able to figure out how to take it a step forward. And so today, right now, I built this deck, and I'm going to share with you specifically some of the challenges that I've experienced. And for anybody who'd like to follow up with me afterwards, I'll give you the deck. I'll give you some of the tactics, because the hardest part for all of you guys is you're so smart and developing such great things that sometimes the government doesn't understand how valuable you are. And to be honest, for the investors in the room, sometimes you give the founders bad information. And so one of the things that I pride myself on is the ability to help founders take the path of least resistance, to take the epic things that they are building and move them forward to a different level. So, I'm going to share those things with you today. Number one, I think one of the most valuable things that people need to understand is no matter what tech you're building, you need to find a mission to attach it to. You need to understand in the agencies that you're targeting, there has to be a mission that can take your cool tech, AI, ML, deep tech thing. It's got to align with a mission. In order for you to do that, you oftentimes need to interview the right people in order to understand, okay, you're doing a cool thing with data, you're doing an amazing thing with ML. What mission, according to our kind of purpose as a country, are you aligning yourself to? That's step number one. Step number two is you've got to find an executive person to help you. You've got to find a general or a government employee or somebody who will be the executive stakeholder over this. Otherwise, no matter how cool your tech is or how amazing it is or what big aha moment you have, it will not go anywhere. And the third one, and probably the most important one, is you need to understand the end user. You need to understand how the end user will use this thing. In one of the projects I worked on in 2019, we were actually working with end users of Navy SEALs on a piece of technology and watching how we could work with them, but was predicated upon we understood their mission, we understood the executive buy-in that we needed to have, and then we understood the end user. If you are not able to get all three of those, I call those the three-prong approach in launching your software. No matter what government employee or government agency tells you you're doing a good job, they do not have an opportunity with them. Because one of the things that people don't realize is that if you are a government employee and you are not paid by founder equity, you are not paid by stock, you are not paid by bonus, you are not paid by commission, you are paid strictly upon your ability to complete the mission. Those people will be very, very nice to you all day long because they want to complete the mission. They will tell you that they want to work with you, and they do. Ultimately, they want to work with you. But if you cannot and do not align with the mission, with the executive buyer, and also understand the end user, how they will use your technology, your deal will fall. They always do. And I've been through it hundreds of times. For example, I launched a company called Pluralsight. which is a bio-identification software. And that software, we launched that company, and that company went into the government space, and we were able to take it so far in the government space that we took it live on the Toronto Stock Exchange. After that company, I was able to work with another company named AppGuard, and we had a low latency cybersecurity software that is deployed in places around the world that I can't even talk about, because I was part of the implementation team that did that. And ultimately, we sold that company after raising $100 million in capital, based on this three-pronged approach. And I can't emphasize enough to everybody building something here today, that if you take one thing away from this conversation on top of the very smart things you're already doing, understand that this three-pronged approach will work with investors, it'll work with your employees, it'll work with the agencies that you work with. The next thing I want to mention is, when you're building your tech, you need to understand the compliance ramifications of the agencies that you want to sell it into. What does that mean? Because compliance is super boring. If you want to sell into the police department, if you want to sell into the drone infrastructure, if you want to sell into what's called the neck of our government, these are all three different worlds, completely different worlds. If you want to sell into the U.S. Army, but the Army needs to take that technology into the net or into the battlefield, these are three different universes. Completely different universes with different tech, different compliances, and different methodologies in place. So it is not like, hey, I'm going to build a cool thing, I'm going to pass one form of compliance in the U.S. government, and then it's going to be everywhere. Because it's not how the infrastructure works. You're talking about going from a very simple infrastructure, something as simple as security cameras on an aircraft carrier, all the way up to the neck, which is the most complex tier 1 level of classified materials possible. And as somebody who has sold technology into nuclear facilities and sold it into the neck, I can talk to people, happy to share with people offline what that's like at all the various different tiers of this. But it's where I've seen the most founders fall apart. Is build something that is so amazing and so critical, and you're so passionate about it, because you're really all smart people. If you're all here on a Saturday and you're taking your precious time to sit here at a hackathon on Saturday, think about how many people are just off riding scooters. And you're all doing this. Like, this is amazing. This is where great opportunities manifest themselves with great people, is sitting here doing the work that you're doing. And I'm very, very passionate about helping founders like you build the thing that you want to build and get it into the government. But the place where you fail is going to be not understanding that this three-pronged approach is critical to your development. The other thing I'll share is this. How many people in the room are venture capitalists or angel investors? Raise your hands. Okay, a handful. Stop giving bad sales advice to the founders. If you guys are good at sales, you need sales, you're good at investors. Stop doing it. Over and over again, I find investors telling a founder 10 companies you should go after, 10 agencies, 10 campaigns, 10 places you should go. And then the hard part for the founder is that investor is telling that same information to 40 other fucking companies. And then all the founders, you know what they do? They all are like lemmings, and they go think the investors are driving in the right direction, and they are trying to do that. But they're all driving the founders into the same place. And then that company stops listening to emails, stops picking the phone calls. So then what happens? The founders go back to the investor and go, we did the thing that you told us to, it didn't work, what we should do? And then they go, great, we've been talking to other people, here's the direction we should go to next. And then all of the founders go in the same direction again. And the same cycle repeats itself over and over and over again. And it's mission critical to what you understand, that the investor is there to help you get capital. If you do not find people who can help you with your sales process, and understand your go-to-market strategy, and understand customer acquisition, and build partnerships, you will just fall off the cliff like so many other lemmings do. So my challenge to you, and I'll wrap up here in a second, my challenge to you is all of you are subject matter experts and really smart at what you do. You've got to go out of that comfort zone and find a team of people that will help you do the things that you don't want to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. That was awesome. Defense, very unique industry. You become a unicorn while only having one customer. Next up, Arthur Killian, co-founder of Defense Venture Studio Victoria, and also one of the organizers of the Saccathon. Let's hear it from Arthur.
Hey guys, first of all, thank you so much. My name is Arthur Killian. I am from Ukraine, and the reason why I'm here is because our country is at war. And it's not just Ukraine's war. It no longer is, it never actually was. And I want to emphasize that we've been fighting Iranian drones for 3 years. As of a couple last weeks, we've been fighting North Korean troops and their missiles and their weapons. Now we're fighting with the threats of nuclear threats and ballistic missiles. So it's here. The war is here, and it's already affecting the entire world. And it's the war for those ideals, those Western ideals that Andrew mentioned. This war affects every one of us. And I don't know about you, but we Ukrainians, we're not scared to defend and fight for the values that we stand for. And that's the American spirit. That's the Western values that we stand for. And with that, today, we're bringing the actual real-world problems from the Ukrainian battlefield for you to help us in this fight. So my partners and I, we worked with the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, the Center of Innovation there, BRAE-1, the Defense Innovation Cluster, and the Unmanned Systems Forces of Ukraine to collect actionable problems and some data for you to help us on that. And I'm also very excited to announce that we also got some prizes. Thanks to Restack and other sponsors, Restack and Open Babylon are giving out some cash for the usage of their platform to help solve these problems. We're also giving out Starlink from Ukraine Now. And for Victoria, we're giving out some cash and some advisory to help you make your defense ideas actually happen and bring them into reality. So I'll just do a quick round of introductions into the tracks, the problem definitions. As you can see, you can find the printed out definitions right there. We have 3 tracks, autonomy and counter US. As you can see, the modern warfare right now is all about autonomy, AI, and drones. So there's a bunch of problems to solve there, from very simple ones, the ones that sound simple, like stabilization of F-3 drones, to things that we have been trying to solve for 3 years, like GNSS denied navigation. So that's an exciting track. We basically have a perfect advisor for you to talk with, Konstantin, who's coming to us from Ukraine. He literally flew in yesterday, and he works with the Unmanned Systems Forces, which is literally like sending drones to fight. The second track is communications. The data set that we've collected from the Ukrainian ministry is the basically interceptions of the Russian soldier communications. And the problem is denoising those communications and hopefully extracting some insights. And the third track is intelligence. So as a lot of the speakers mentioned here, it's all about lessons learned. What we're seeing right now in Ukraine, we're basically paying with our lives to learn how to protect our Western world and our ideals. So for us, it's extremely critical to build solutions to accumulate that knowledge, distribute that knowledge to our partners and allies, and also help American military and other stakeholders learn from that horrible experience the war is. So with that, I'll pass the mic to Konstantin, who flew in from Ukraine, and it's here to help us with some of the advisory. We'll also have the couple of workshops during the day, especially with Restack on those AI and LLM use cases. So come find us and annoy us with some of the questions. Thank you.
There's 2 workshops on the Restack one and the other one will be, I think it's called Bare Metal.
Hey everyone, what's up? I'm not going to be that long. My name is Konstantin, very long name. You've seen seen the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves. That's pretty much it. Just call me Costa. If you see me, so I live in Kiev. I'm from Ukraine. I came from Ukraine. I will go back to Ukraine. That's the important part. And definitely appreciate everyone who's doing it. So 3 years back, I was basically a tech entrepreneur. Last 3 years, I'm trying to do all my best to help us win. And I work for Unmanned System Forces, which is a newly created military branch, which is a high hierarchy thing in terms of the military structure. And Unmanned System Forces is dedicated to all types of unmanned systems, aerial, ground, and sea, water, I guess. That's the first military branch that does not have infantry. So in our case, we're looking for people that love tech, know how to use tech, ready to use tech in order to save lives. In our case, the most important thing is people, because we're losing best people because they're in the front line. So I appreciate everyone helping us with with improving this tech. I fully agree with Artur. I think the most significant value that we produce is actually battlefield experience. We actually know what kind of stuff is working and what kind of shit is not working. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. What else? I told you about significant value that we produce. My personal objective, I believe that we need to create, in order to have sustainable long-term relationship, we need to create partnership between Ukraine, US, we have Europe, who are helping us. At the end of the day, you're our allies. We're the country that is helping us. So let's get together and let's build some tech, some solutions, some software and hardware that is working and that will improve our sort of mutual defense capability. Thank you very much. Let's fucking go and follow Ukrainian. And I'm happy to introduce
Thank you. Awesome. Hi, my name is Eric Barnes, founder and CEO of DADS. We finished it. We were finalists in the U.S. Department of Defense Incubator Program, and we are grant funded through the government. I also wanted to encourage more women to start companies that in the defense tech space. This is my country. This is your country. Study after study shows that diversity breeds innovation, and so we need more women helping to solve these problems. I wanted to also introduce Jeff Wright from the U.S. Special Operations Command, the Pacific, an incredible person along my startup journey that I have met, who is helping to defend America and to bring the latest and most innovative technology into the government. So we have a couple use cases that you're going to see in your packets that we just wanted to highlight really briefly. If you have questions about these, find Jeff afterwards. Find me, we can help you with the U.S. specific cases. So we want to start out by talking about the automation of drone detection, being able to detect and communicate with drones automatically or let the drones automatically do that. Do you want to touch a little bit more on that?
So when we say the word drone, it means different things to different people. The normal U.S. military lingo will indicate MQ-1, MQ-9, some big monolithic airplane thing up at 35,000 feet ATL. Drone also means the tiny one that's in my son's bag right now. So when we say drone, let's define that as any uncrewed system that is up in the air. Do not limit yourself to something that is first-person view. The era of first-person view may be coming to an end. We are inherently limited. We can only think and react to about 300 to 400 millisecond increments, and at machine speeds, we all know that sucks. And so that is probably coming to an end. What comes next? Feel free to engineer against that. We need to be able to detect everything from, again, that little micro all the way up to something that is a Group 2, a Shahed 136, Orlan 10, a Super Cam 350, things like that. If you don't know what any of those things are, find me and I will nerd out until you tell me to stop.
Yeah, he does a really good job of explaining this. The next is dynamic spectrum sharing. There's a lot of issues with inference jamming and electronic warfare activities. Since he has experienced it firsthand, I'm going to have him just kind of touch on that.
Yeah, so jamming only takes part of one spectrum. You can't jam all the spectra all the time at full volume in all directions, right? It's not a magic blanket of fog. It's directional, it attenuates over time and space, but when it is working, you can't just say, oh, we're jammed today, bad weather, mission canceled. The ability to switch between spectra dynamically, to say, this one is not working, what else is working? Even if all of the RF spectra are being jammed, there's other parts of the electromagnetic spectrum that we can use, right? So how do you communicate, for example, in the auditory spectrum? How do you communicate in the infrared spectrum between aircraft? How do you communicate if it's perception only? Got some specific ideas for each one of those things. If you're an engineer in that space, come talk to me. I'd love to give you my save game file. You pay your taxes, you pay my salaries. No fee. I'll just give you the information you go innovate on.
Awesome, wonderful. Okay, another one that's really interesting. This is for the machine learning engineers that are in the audience. Is being able to create fake data. When you can create synthetic data that the adversary can spend hours, months trying to decipher the code, and it's not even real data at all, that's really powerful, right? Because we're distracting the adversary, we're keeping them away from our actual real data. We're sending out drones that have like fake dummy data on it. Did you want to talk or chat a little bit about that? That was good. Okay, perfect. And then the last one is real-time RF detection signal classification, being able to tell which is our drones and which are the adversaries when they can look identical.
Yeah, this one's hard. So the easy level of this is that if you have a RF transmission in an area where there's no explanation other than someone's flying a drone, easy by easy, right? But what if someone is transmitting in a spectrum that is common to others? This gets as hard as hay in a haystack, where you're sending obfuscated 5G packets over a network. How do you pick that up? If I'm controlling a drone or doing other kinds of communications with obfuscated 5G, how do you pick me out? So that's the challenge. How do you go see it?
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're so excited to see what you guys create. Feel free to find us. We'll be wandering around, and we're very excited. Thank you.
How are you all? My name is Jim. Pleasure to meet you all here. Some background. I'm a son of an active duty serviceman. I got friends who are here and some friends who aren't. The reason why we're here is to have for the future. That's why we're here. So I'm going to go over two things. One, some big background on logistics. Background on logistics, about where things are at, and then also what key activities will take place, followed by some closing notes. For some context, some things that will be coming up for you later today, we'll have some light workshops taking place to showcase and provide some context for hardware engineering and hardware context, as well as some talks about how to actually sell employees defense. Furthermore, there will be background on whether it be a session later on today to speak out, hey, you guys got a project on our job. We'll be inviting out teams to come up here to do a rapid 30-second pitch to bring in your team members or bring forth their ideas. Just actually to do an account. Who here is a hardware engineer or a founder? Nice. Who here is a veteran, a mentor, or someone who can help us concepts? Please raise your hands high, look around, you don't look out for them. Those with red wristbands, reach out to them if you need help or need questions answered for the problems that you want to solve. Some logistics of where things will be at. So we have logic down for bumps, down the stairwell, see that? Go up to the right, straight up to the right, go down the stairway, You want to sleep? There's your rock and roll. Restrooms to the back over there. There's water stations out there. There will be lunch right after this. I see some of y'all will grab some. There's all food, snacks, and water on that side. Yes. Let's see. For the final closing thoughts, it really boils down to this. Why are we here? Democracy is under attack, and we need your help. There are thousands of brave men and women that work tirelessly and lay down their lives so that we can live ours. Now this is a chance to help them. The future of the world is down under, and you have the skills, talents, and capabilities to help. So the question is, are you ready to rise to the challenge? Yeah? Are you ready to rise to the challenge? Oh yeah. Great, thank you all for joining us and for protecting our future. Well, happy to begin.
Okay, we gotta go get a paper copy of the copy. I can't open it.
Oh, one more thing. If this is your first time on the US this morning, and you want to check out the Wicked View and some jets, the flight deck is open. So there's a stairway down that way in the entrance where you guys came in. You can walk on the top of the flight deck, see the jets, and get a perfect view of all the air. It's awesome. So, because it's in
Yeah, very open. One more time.